Warning: the following program contains adult language, adult themes, and spoilers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good evening. Welcome to this week's episode of This Week's Episode. I'm your host, Angie Fernot. With me, as always, is two-headed buck, Kris Randazzo.
Hey, is that April O'Neil?
Glow-in-the-dark mushroom, Karen Randazzo.
We're back, bitches.
And malfunctioning space vessel, Evan Goldstein.
Reality sucks.
This is episode number 257 for the week of October 5th. This month was my pick. So I chose the 100, Season 1, Episode 1. It is the pilot episode. But before we get into that, this is your weekly reminder that you can get in touch with us at mail@geekade.com. You watching anything new? You want to tell us about it? Do you want to tell us to watch something new? What about something old? Just tell us what to watch. And as always, we do want to hear from you, so let us know you're there. All right, guys. So it's been a minute. How we doing? Good talk.
Yeah.
Good talk.
So, I mean, things have been changing here, you know, with TWEP because, and I will take full brunt of responsibility because of me and my work situation and whatnot. But I'm happy to report that things will be changing. I'm hoping for the better, that my schedule will be cleared up more so that we can, you know, enjoy life. But, yes, I finally got out of that shit job that I was doing, and now I'm in a better, hopefully better situation work-wise. Mm-hmm. So that's very positive on our home front.
Yeah.
That's delightful news.
It was so bad. I hated my job, like hated with the fire of 1,000 suns.
But you're no longer there, and everything's great now.
They sent me an email to fill out an exit form.
An exit survey?
An exit survey, yes.
Oh, good. Is there an open-ended question response? Because there's
all of them were. Like, I'm going to say 50% of them were. And most of the questions were, let's say 50% of them were, how do you rate this between 1 and 5? And open-ended questions where, like, if you could change this, what would you, like, if you can, is there anything that would make you want to stay? And my response to that one, and it being open-ended, was no. But then the open-ended was like, well, what would you change to make things better? That was a long one.
You didn't tell me about this. When did this happen?
The email showed up the other day, and I just filled it out this morning. Ooh. And if I'm not mistaken, they actually sent me a copy of it. I want to print it out and frame it.
We're not going to do that, but we can light it on fire.
Yeah, okay, fine, whatever.
Can't light the building on fire, but we can definitely light that on fire.
But yeah, that's good. That my new gig will be starting on the 11th after vacation, which is I'm so excited for that. But that's another story for another time. So
I did want to share that I officially have to rename one of my stickers forever because if anyone saw my Instagram story this weekend, there was the most adorable toddler who ran up to my table, and as they were looking at stickers, they pointed to one of the dragon heads that I had drawn, and he was like, "Moo cow."
Aww.
And then his sister came up and she was like, "Cow?" And then they just kept pointing, "Cow, cow." And then, of course, the parents and I were laughing hysterically. And then immediately the kids had to put them on after the parents bought the stickers for them, in which case I just had to photograph it. And now on my website, I'm going to have to rename all of my stickers that are dragons to cow stickers because it was one of the greatest moments in my professional life. Not just cow sticker.
Moo cow sticker.
Moo cow.
Moo cow 1 or moo cow green.
I was like, man, that's some
blue.
Funny looking milk right there. But yeah, it was a pretty great experience, and I thought I should share it because it made me very happy.
It's adorable.
Right?
Yeah.
How about you guys?
Our kids keep getting older. It's bullshit.
That's gross. Tell them to
Just
stop.
won't stop.
I told you to stop feeding them, Karen.
Well, then they get in
yeah.
trouble for that.
The older one turned 9, and on Saturday, the little one's going to be 6. I'm just not okay with it.
So gross. So cute.
So that makes you, what, 147 now, right? That's how that works?
Correct.
Got it. All right.
Correct.
In feeling, probably.
Oh, the clock keeps on ticking no matter
But
what.
at least they're back in school, which is a delightful change.
How is that going? Like, I'm curious. Like, has COVID gone away completely there for you? Like, we're done?
We haven't like had any like, close calls or anything. Nobody gives a crap, really.
Right.
I am supposed to go back into the office on Monday.
Ooh. Yeah.
It's not great.
So, unless something changes and COVID levels go back up. But yeah. I mean, so I'm a contractor for the federal government, and there's a federal facility where the federal employees work, and that's not where I work anymore. But the facility opened up a couple of weeks ago, and we get email notifications whenever there's a COVID case, in case, like, it's a big building, so if you happen to be there at the same time as somebody who tested positive, they have to notify you. Or if they notify everybody, just in case. And there's been, like, a good handful of cases since the building opened up a couple of weeks ago. It's like, what are we doing, guys? We're just going to have to go back. We're just going to, we're going to flip-flop this decision around in another 2-3 weeks. What are we doing? This is going to uproot my life again for however long it lasts.
Well, they paid for the building, so they got to do something with it.
That's not my problem.
Well, apparently
It is now.
Apparently it is. So, yeah. So, my mood's delightful these days.
Yeah, I'm still working in an office in person, and the way that the office I work in is structured, Evan has seen it. My coworkers and I
Sit on each other's laps. It's such a tiny office.
We have one room between the three of us who are in our department because it's a small organization, and it's literally to the point where my desk was so close to my coworker's desk that they put a divider up between us. And it's like
a sneeze guard.
it's one of those wall room dividers, so that it's kind of zigzag the way it sits, but it has like a screen on it, almost like shutters on a window, so you can open the shutter or close the shutter for privacy. And every now and then I'll just look at my coworker, say something stupid, and then they immediately close the shutters on me, and I was like, I'm not sorry.
That sounds fun.
So I have to say, yeah, I've been enjoying it, but I've been very surprised that it hasn't gone through the office yet, because there was a point where every other day I was hearing about a new case from somewhere. And then I work with children at one of my other jobs, because why would I have one when I can have several jobs? So, yeah, I'm just waiting at this point, and I'm really grateful that it hasn't come through yet, because Evan needs to get the fuck out of this house.
And I get it, it's endemic now, so whatever, the precautions are not as strong. And I guess even though many people are not, some sort of majority of people are vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, I guess the government feels like everything is safe now. But, even if you're vaccinated and you get it, it still sucks. And you have to, take a bunch of time off of work to recover from it.
You mean it's not like a party now that you're vaccinated? It becomes streamers and rainbows, right? That's what happens.
And,
Karen, the pandemic's over, didn't you hear?
As long as we it keeps spreading around, it's people at high high vulnerability or whatever, high risk people are still very much in danger. And did I hear recently they're removing the mask mandate for medical offices?
Sounds like a really solid
Sounds
plan.
like a great idea.
I'm sure nothing will go horribly sideways with that one.
So then I have my how old is she? 72-year-old mother who is like, well, I'm going on a cruise in January, so I'm trying to time my booster just right. That it lasts while she's on the ship. I'm like, well, that's one way to live your fucking life.
It's true. It's that's an active choice. Like, yes, I'm doing this. You can't stop me. Put me on that.
I don't
giant
blame her. I mean, she wants to,
germ-filled-
Listen,
wants to do what she wants to do.
I have learned that grandparents give zero fucks. That's what the pandemic taught me. I had, there was a point where I was on the phone with my grandma. I was like, Grandma, you can't do that. She's like, I'll play golf if I want to. I was like, are you wearing a mask? She's like, we're outside. I was like, okay, that's fine. And then you get cocktails after? Yes. Are those outside? No. Okay, Grandma, have fun playing golf. Hope you don't die.
Grandma's very loud.
Yeah. We call her Mad Dog.
Yes.
That's a great grandma name.
Oh, yeah.
Mad Dog Grandma.
Mad Dog's on the golf course. Watch out. She's driving the cart today.
Yikes.
Fun.
How about you, Chris? What do you got?
COVID. No, I'm just kidding.
Got it.
No, I'm doing all right. Work's been going pretty well. I've been focusing a lot on Geekade in the last month or so, as you well know. We'd launched the whole Patreon page, and I'm working on getting all the assets and everything for all of our podcasts in the same place, which will make my stress levels drop down considerably every time I think about Geekade and the various podcasts we have. I'm like, okay, but I don't know what's going on with some of these podcasts. Like, they're on our network and I just have no idea what's going on, but we're reining that stuff in, and I'll be able to have more control over what is happening and more quality control over the way things are getting posted and promoted, and I'm pretty excited about all that business.
I'm going to be honest.
What was it?
I said I'm going to be honest. I'd had a hard time listening after you said the word ass.
Assets, yeah.
Just kidding. No, I really appreciate everything you've been doing, and I hope the listeners do too, you ungrateful swine.
It's true, they are.
But for real, good. Well,
outside of that, work's been going well. It's I might be doing some freelance writing soon. I got some other good news through my regular job that I can actually start expensing a few things in relation to fixing up my actual work situation. So I'm going to get myself a new desk chair soon. I'm pretty excited about. And was talking to Matt Much for a while today about USB ports and things like that. That was fun. And
is that before or after?
Oh, after. This was this evening. He started getting back to me, and when he came up with a whole bunch of fancy ideas for various USB hubs for my computer.
Did he show you? Did he show you the one that's like a hub that holds a hard drive in it that opens up expansive USB portage?
It like looks like the Mac Mini, but like extended.
Yeah.
I actually showed that one to him.
Okay. Yeah.
That one looks pretty neat, but the ports are on the front, and like. Okay, but I don't want the ports on the front. I want the ports on the back so that they can look all, clean and hidden. I don't want to.
Trust me, I fully fucking understand.
Right?
I fully.
That's my problem.
Understand.
The biggest problem I have with the one right now is not the fact that it sucks and it kind of broke, but the fact that
looks nothing like your Mac.
Guys,
it's like it looks like a mouse, and all the ports are on all the sides. So it looks like this weird octopus when you have everything plugged into it. Like, I want to use all the ports, but I also want it to not look ridiculous. And all these USB hubs are like, here's this sleek looking rectangle, but don't plug a bunch of stuff into it because it's going to look real dumb, and it's not going to be heavy enough to support all the cables, so you'll never get it sitting straight. Nope. It's going to flop in whatever direction the cables are.
It's going to look like a
in.
weird spidery octopusy kind of thingy, right on top. I have spoken to more 3D printer people about designing just a box that you could shove a hub or a thing into that'll just hide it. So that's the vein I'm going down. We'll see what happens. I
don't understand why nobody designs these things with an eye for aesthetics. I just don't get it. Like none of them look nice.
Nope.
Until you get to like the $250 ones. Then they're like, okay, well these look okay. But even then they're not like amazing.
All right.
Does nobody think of the aesthetics?
Nope.
It sounds
Evan,
like
I'm
they
asking
do,
you
and then they
specifically.
charge you for it.
And you know what's really surprising to me? Nobody makes like a build your own. Like I want my hub to have 4 USB ports, 2 Thunderbolt parts, and a data line. That's it. I don't need the card reader. I don't need a monitor. I just a la carte that shit. And that nobody does that. You can't order.
TM. Sounds like we have a good idea here.
It's never gonna happen, honey. I'm not gonna do it. So, anywho,
I tried.
you want to start talking television?
Yeah. So anyway, this is a TV podcast, so let's do some of that.
Side note:
All right.
I just took off. I had a screen cover on my phone that was cracked, and I just took it off, and now I'm cracking it more, and it's so freaking satisfying.
I have to listen to that, you
I'm sorry.
monster. That's going to
Throw it
be in
away.
the podcast too. Sorry, listeners.
That was a lot of fun. Anywho,
Evan. So anyway, yeah. All right. So we watch TV on this podcast, apparently, sometimes, maybe. But as we've previously mentioned, we're kind of changing things up a little bit. So we're going to talk a little bit about what we've been watching, but we're going to really focus on the most exciting thing we've been watching, other than the 100, because I know that's going to be really
damn it! I gotta
great.
pick something else then.
Okay. So Evan, I'm nominating you. You can talk first.
Okay. I did earlier. We were talking in the chat, and I was going to talk about one show, but I'm changing my mind. I'm calling an audible.
The fuck.
I'm sorry. I'm going to talk about Resident Alien.
Yes.
Okay, because Resident Alien is still fantastic. I'm loving the show so freaking much. The storyline of the current so far is he's a couple of different storylines going on, but he became a father, air quoting that. He had a little alien baby that there's time travel involved, and it's.
Oh, are you talking about the second half of the current season? Because we didn't watch the second half of it yet.
Yes.
So
And
don't
that's
spoil the crap out of too much for us. We didn't realize there was a second half of the season. We thought we finished the season, and then we looked on the Plex one day, like,
oh shit!
oh my
there's more
god, there's like
season.
8 new episodes. What
Yes.
happened?
So all right, then I'll stop with specifics. It's fantastic. There's the experience that I've had last season, they'd have a bunch of storylines going, and 1 or 2 of them were but the main storyline kept me going. I'm loving every storyline that's going on right now. At one point in time, who's the guy from the older gentleman from Lost? He shows up. He's got a part now. But
Oh my god, that's who it was.
yeah,
Oh, fucking John Locke.
John Locke. Yeah, John Locke.
Oh, Locke. All right, cool.
Locke.
I love that guy.
He plays an alien hunter, like a podcaster. So
Well, they know that because he was in another well, maybe you would know that. He was
It-
in that.
it-
He was the one at the
Right.
convention who
could sort of that
He
was
had the,
previous. He had the view, he could see
Yeah.
aliens. So shit goes on. There's at one point in time, everybody ends up at a military facility, and there's sort of a weird sort of prison break. Okay. Now the reason I'm talking about this because it's as if the show listens to me specifically and gave me this Easter egg. All right. So there's a big old jailbreak, if you will, and at one point in time, Harry is wandering through and sort of escorting other people out.
in his full-on alien form.
Yeah. I'm trying to look. I don't know the guy's name. And at one point in time, a door opens and there's a guy there, and it's so. As I've explained before, I watch a lot of paranormal activity kind of stuff at night to go to bed, and I ran out of that, so I had to find another show. And I started watching Ancient Aliens, okay? Because I don't know. It's like a weird fascination with it. I don't really believe it, but it's entertainment. And there's this guy who is there every episode. I don't know what he is, just an ancient alien theorist is his title. I'm trying to look up his name. Giorgio A.
I was gonna say, just look up the guy with the weird fucking hair.
So he's the dude with the big hair, and for like 14 years there was this meme running around that it was like him with his hands up going, aliens. And he's the highlight of the show, Ancient Aliens, for me. So during this prison break, the door swings open and Giorgio is there. He has been arrested, and he's standing there talking to a full alien. He's like, I knew it. And I was so happy. Like, I looked at Angie and I'm like, you know who that is, right? And she's like, no. I'm like, that's the Ancient Aliens, dude. I can stop watching the show now. They did it. Finally. It's so...
When I tell you the amount of joy that he experienced from this moment, I was like, this is not only completely not justified, but like, I think I love you a little bit less now.
And it's true, and I'm okay with it. But they did not have to do that, but they did it for me, and I'm taking that as a for me.
It's just for Evan. That was his parting gift in our divorce.
Other than that, like I said, all the storylines are going really well so far. There's a lot of emotional stuff going on with mother-daughter, and some behind-the-scenes stuff with the trials for the Olympics. I'm pretty sure that was in the first half.
Nope.
So everybody's getting the light shown upon them, and everybody's doing a really good job. Even the sheriff, that guy is very unique. Even he's getting a little
Big Hat.
Sheriff Big Hat. He's his like that type of character that he was in the first season. It's sort of growing a little bit, and they're expanding upon it. So everybody's getting fleshed out, which is great. They're doing a really, really good job with the show, and I highly recommend it. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I would be curious to know where the writers get some of their inspiration. At some point I would like to kind of do a deep dive on this show, as I find myself wanting to do with a lot of things regarding the shows that we watch. But this one in particular, like just the way that Alan Tudyk is moving and behaving sometimes in the show, I wonder if it's actually like hard for him, because he's intentionally, he goes back and forth between like being insightful and then actually moving in a way that is more human and being somewhat robotic. And
he does it, yeah, like it's seamless. Like he does his character of Harry Vanderspiegel, like not alien form, it's almost as if like that human skin looks a little too tight, because when he's playing the alien, it's seamless. Like I'm pretty sure he is the guy in the makeup, but his mannerisms are fantastic as Harry, because he looks like he's in a constant state of being awkward, and it makes sense. It's perfect for that character. So yeah.
But yeah, Evan, if he wasn't a fan of this show before, which he was, but if he wasn't before, he would definitely be now.
Ancient alien, like, why? Oh my god!
And don't worry, guys, there were some new episodes of Paranormal Caught on Camera, and there's apparently an overseas
version. There's a UK version of it too.
So guess what we've been watching?
You don't watch any of it. You fall asleep immediately.
Oh, thank God I do. There was a point though. There was a night where I didn't fall asleep right away, and I noped like almost. I was like, absolutely not. No. I was like, this one I don't get. I don't like it. No, thank you. It's always because it's always these fucking black shadow things peeking their heads around the ding dang corner, and it's just enough. Like, I was literally standing in the doorway looking at Evan the other day lovingly, because I was like, oh, he's so cute, and I love how happy he is, and he was setting up a new desk that he got, and it was like this whole thing, and I was like, was like, oh my God, this is what the ghost people do. Am I a ghost person? Am I going to die and he's going to turn around one day and I'm just going to be fucking hovering in a doorway like a weirdo? I was like, this is the worst thing. Why is this where my brain goes? It's because we watch this goddamn show.
Because it's such a fall asleep to, baby.
So, yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Delving into your subconscious.
Yeah, anyway.
Alan Tudyk popped into my head the other day for whatever reason, because he's wonderful. And, I was just thinking about, like, he's played a lot of iconic characters, and, like, he just seems like a really great guy, and I hope everything's going well for him.
Mm-hmm.
Aww.
Like,
so far, out of all, I've met a number of celebrities via conventions. Alan Tudyk is the only person I stood in line to meet, to get a signature of. And he was a sweetheart. He took time with everybody. Like, really, really nice guy.
that's the impression I get. And, like, just between, like, Firefly and the Disney stuff and this, it's just like, he does a lot of good stuff. I think he's a cool dude.
And his voice acting career is phenomenal.
Yeah, they
just on Harley Quinn alone, like, it's fantastic.
Yes, we have been enjoying him as Joker and Clayface.
Harley Quinn, Joker, Clayface. It also says Condiment King.
There's nothing the man can't do.
Oh, we haven't watched a Condiment King episode yet, though. But
you never know. He may have just showed up. See, and that's the thing. Like, if he just was, ha, like, that's enough. He gets that credit.
So, speaking of stuff that you guys are watching that you're enjoying, Karen, what have you been watching?
So I don't know. When you said, like, we're going to focus on whatever's the most exciting thing, I was like, I don't know that's exact. I chose something that I just have the most things to say about. I'll say that. So
that's fair. Okay, that's fair. I chose mine based on what I was excited about, so that's a caveat. Sorry, let me stand corrected. Y'all, we can talk about a lot of TV, and we have a lot of opinions if you haven't noticed. So we are trying to pare it back and simplify some of our reporting on things that we're watching to like one per episode, and
sometimes it's a little tougher than others.
It's really hard. So I'm actually you have heard me come onto this podcast and be like, I need to talk about this show because I hate it. So like,
we'll skip those.
It doesn't have to be the most exciting in a happy way. It could be it excites you because it enrages you. That's a form of excitement.
It's just got to be the one that you want to talk about the most. That's all. For whatever reason.
Yeah, so I wouldn't necessarily say that I am enraged or excited, but I'm certainly feeling things. So we are late to the game, but we are almost caught up. We missed the most recent episode, but we've been watching House of the Dragon, which I was
totally forgot about that.
I was today years old when I learned that the acronym for the show on Twitter is Hot D.
What? Oh my God, it is
HOTD, but the O and T are lowercase. So
okay, somebody planned that. I refuse to believe anything otherwise.
That's such a bad idea.
The person whose tweet I learned that from was kind of contradicting that was actually what the show was about. And I have to agree. There's some sex, but not all of it is hot, and some of it is just ugh.
D.
I assume
like
there was
dookie.
some burning involved in some of it, but that's not the hot you're talking about.
So House of the Dragon is the Game of Thrones prequel.
Mm-hmm.
It is cool to be back in Westeros. They use the exact same theme music, but not the animation from Game of Thrones, which is convenient for me because I just have to change it from "It's a Game of Thrones" to "It's a House of Dragons."
That works, yeah.
And it works, and it makes me very happy that I get to do that every week.
I'm sure Kris loves it.
He loves me and my little dorky things that I do. So it focuses primarily on the Targaryen family, which is Daenerys's ancestors.
The blonde people.
The blonde people with the dragons.
Mm-hmm.
As evidenced in the name of the show, House of the Dragon.
Now I get it.
Hot D. There it is.
Hot
And
dragons.
started with like this old king, and then he was gonna, his line of succession was in question or whatever. There was two descendants that could be named his heir, and one was a dude and one was a lady, and he went with the dude. And so then like they jump forward in time, and it's that dude as king, and he has a daughter who's like a teenager and a wife who keeps trying to have babies and failing. And then she's like, this is the last one, this is the last baby I'm going to try to have, and she fails so hard that she dies.
That's one way to fail.
But the baby's a boy, but then it dies.
I feel like there was a lot of failing going on around that particular birth, with like everyone standing around like, I don't know, man, the baby's facing the wrong way. What do? We cut people open all the time on this show, but we couldn't cut. Wait a minute. Do you think we could cut open? I don't know. I mean, do you think she would survive? Ooh, who knows? Let's find out.
But really, who cares? As long as
Exactly.
the baby survives, because it has a penis.
That is what's important.
So
Angie.
that was pretty horrific. And then, you know, it goes on. He's got a brother who is Matt Smith, who's from Doctor Who, and he is fucking amazing.
What's Doctor Who?
He's also from the smash hit Morbius. Let's not forget that.
Ooh, sorry. That got me, Kris. That got me.
So the king's first wife dies. He marries this like teenage girl who's his hand or his like advisor's
I thought
daughter.
he named his hand this teenage girl. Okay, just kidding.
No, he marries this daughter of the hand, and she has a baby boy. And so now it's like, is it going to be the teenage daughter because she's the oldest, or the boy, the baby, because he's a boy and he's like, you know, whatever.
It's also
or
worth
is it going to be
pointing
the
out-
brother because the brother feels like he has like a claim to the throne.
It's very worth pointing out that the teenage girl that the king married is his daughter's best friend.
Oh,
Correct.
Cool.
There's all, I mean, it's
Not
Game of
gross.
Thrones. There's lots of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, she wasn't thrilled about the plan, but her dad was like, hey, I'm the hand of the king, and I am so gonna just weasel my way into the fucking throne however I have to. So you go try and bang the king. And she's like, I guess I could. I don't really want to do that. And he's like, yeah, well, I'm your dad and you're a girl, so fucking get over it. And so she does what she's supposed to do and reluctantly bangs the king. And well, there you have it.
9
Pops
months
out
later.
a boy child. So it's all about like succession and patriarchy, and like the king ends up naming his teenage daughter as his heir, but is that gonna really hold when he dies, or are people gonna challenge it because she's a woman? And the first thing that made me crazy was how they ended up killing the queen by trying to give her a C-section. That was horrific. But then the next thing that made me crazy is like he decides to name his teenage daughter as the heir, and his like small council is all like, but she's a girl. And like there is no like reasoning given why she wouldn't be a good ruler. Like, not like she's a woman and therefore is subject to like, you know, hysteria or what. There's not even any bullshit reason given. It's just she's a woman, so she can't be in charge. And the misogyny is so baked in from the start that it's just like, well, fuck it. So I wouldn't say that I hate watching this show because the acting is very good, and the intrigue is intriguing. It's not as intriguing as Game of Thrones, because Game of Thrones, they were like, everybody was fighting over the throne. There were like a bunch of different families all trying to claim the throne, and it was really interesting to see how all those parties interacted. This is like mainly focused on the one family and the happenings within it, so it's less, I don't know, less fun that way.
There's also doesn't seem to be anybody to really root for. Like, kind of, you liked the Stark kids. You're like, all right, He's a good kid. Let's see if they can pull this off. Let's see how it's going to work out for him. There's not really.
The closest I would say is just to somebody to root for is Matt Smith's character, because he's fun to watch.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I want this guy to win because I want to see more of him, not because I think he'd do the best job or I like him the most.
Yeah, he's not like a good dude, but like, I don't know, he's definitely fun to watch. But like that, I think that's what this show is missing, is anyone to like genuinely root for. Like Rhaenyra she's all right, she's fine, and like I get her motivations and things like that, but she's not. She's not Arya Stark. She's not even Sansa Stark. She's not Bran before he became super boring. It's it's missing something. It's still, fun. Like Karen said, I agree with her. I feel good about being back in the world of Game of Thrones, but it's like it's not quite as awesome as Game of Thrones was.
There's a lot more dragons, though.
Yeah,
I feel like
that's
there's way
true.
more dragons.
Yeah.
Dragons are awesome.
Yes, they
And there
are.
damn well better be in a show called House of the Dragon.
Hot damn.
So I'm not hot damn. I wouldn't say I hate watching it, but there is an awful lot of yelling
At the
from
TV.
both of us, because like I don't know, I can't pin the exact years that Game of Thrones was on, but a lot's happened since then. And like I'm even more done with patriarchal bullshit than I was during the Game of Thrones era. And so like, they have all these premises that the viewer's just supposed to accept, and I'm just like, nah man, this is all fucking bullshit. So
To which I say, the patriarchy makes a great villain because it's fucking stupid.
it really is.
I was going to say, that's what it sounds like it's doing, though, is that they're putting the focus on, like, I haven't seen Mad Men, but it sounds like this is kind of similar to what they did in Mad Men, from what I've been told, is that they put you in a position where you're supposed to watch women be in spaces and situations where they are completely powerless, and you have to watch
are often
them.
the smartest people in the room.
Yeah, you have to watch them deal with navigating and probably failing quite a bit before they succeed in all of these types of bullshit situations. And they may not succeed because, like, there's one thing that I really felt that Game of Thrones did that it sounds like this show is doing, which was they gave you things that were, I don't know, reality adjacent situationally.
Okay.
Like people complained about how somebody would die and how it wasn't epic enough, or it was too dramatic, or whatever, like, or everybody was dying, and I think to some extent for me I was like, well, yeah, but if you look at the things that inspired this show, it kind of makes sense. And also, like, it's not all you like. That's one of the things I felt like Game of Thrones did a lot. They didn't just give you what you wanted because they knew you wanted that as the viewer. They made you deal with things that you didn't like. And I just felt like the show did that unapologetically in every season, and I think that's why I was able to be more forgiving of the way it ended, but I don't blame people for hating it. So
The other thing, and I like I said, we're an episode behind, probably 2 episodes, but by the time this drops, from where the show is currently. But there was a thing that happened, and I'll spoil it for people who want to see it and haven't. But there was a thing that happened in the 5th episode, which is the last one before there's apparently a 10-year time jump, for where the teenage characters go from teens to adults. Mm-hmm. There's a thing that happened, and there are some gay characters, and one of them died fairly brutally, and the other one is still alive, but I don't know what happens yet with them. Mm-hmm. And this is like, it's following this problematic trope of bury your gays, where like gay characters just exist to like die horribly. And the show can point to them and be like, hey, look, we have gay representation. And it's like, yeah, but you just killed them, and you didn't really give them like any backstory or like bring any life to that character. They were just there to serve you and whatever the hell you wanted to do. So that's not great, and I hope that they do something more, or better, or more interesting, or something with the one who's left, because there was just like very little gay representation on Game of Thrones, right? There was Renly.
I don't know names.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at my husband and he doesn't remember. There was one gay character, but he was like killed off very quickly, and like, it's just problematic, and I would like to see that change, but it's Game of Thrones, and Game of Thrones is going to do what Game of Thrones wants to do. So I guess I can hope.
Yeah, there's no shortage of gay sex happening on screen, but it's not really any of the main characters.
Right.
Oh, what? Okay, you know what?
Although I'm kind of starting to suspect that Matt Smith's character is gay.
I don't know if he's gay. My suspicion was that he's impotent.
Yeah, that makes sense too. Was not sure what's going on there, but there's something going on there.
But man, is it great to see him in something good. And
we haven't seen Morbius, but I can only assume that's great.
Oh, it's outstanding.
Shit, you know what? You said that, and this entire time I'm like, what television show are they talking about? Forget it. Yeah, that movie was hot garbage. Oh my God.
Best kind.
Oh no. I
think this is a great role for him to like distinguish him, as something else besides the Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a very memorable character, and he's doing the most with it.
Wasn't he in The Crown?
He was in The Crown.
Okay. I feel like
he wasn't very likable. He wasn't a
okay.
likable character in The Crown.
Okay.
Yeah,
not that he's likable in this, but he's a lot more watchable. that character that he played in The Crown was just kind of hateable.
Gotcha.
It feels like since Doctor Who, and maybe it's just because that was the last time I cared about him, but it feels like since Doctor Who, he's made a lot of weird choices as to the characters he's played.
He has. He's been involved in a lot of
He's been trying a lot of different things.
Not all of them great. There have been a handful of nerdy projects that seem like they should be sure bets. Like, I'm going to be in a Marvel movie, but it's going to be Morbius. I think he was in like one of the really bad Terminator projects too. Like, he just gets involved and he's like, all right, this should be good. Oh, it's not good.
It's whatever
it is. He did this indie movie right after Doctor Who that like looked like it was interesting, but I don't think anybody saw it. So anyway, House of the Dragon, we're sticking with it for now. Good stuff, but like, do better.
Okay.
Or I'm just gonna, or the amount I yell at my TV is just going to go up. Not that anyone making that show really cares if I yell at my TV or not.
But your husband does.
He's doing it with me, so.
Excellent. What else have you been watching, Kris?
Oh, me? I got to go next? All right. Well, I was going to talk about Andor because, I'm me.
Yeah.
But it's only 3 episodes in, so I'll just say I love it so far, but we'll see where it goes. No, I want to talk about Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai.
So the 5th season of Cobra Kai aired, and I really hope that the next season is its last.
Yeah. Okay. As long as we're on the same page here. Not bad.
I loved season 5. I thought it was great, but you're done. It's over.
Stretching it very thin.
You did it, and because and they did it well. Like they wrapped up Terry Silver in a real good way. Danny and Johnny aren't enemies anymore; they're straight up friends. Like Danny goes over there trying to pick a fight with Johnny, and Johnny's not having it. Like everyone's getting their shit together, which is wonderful to see. Even that Tory girl is like coming around to the not so dark side of things, and like the show is it's running its course. There's just enough for one more season. Like that's there's just barely enough sitting in there simmering for one more proper season. And
Wait, have I finished this season? Did they actually go and do the tournament?
no, and that's one of the things that they could do in a final season,
Okay.
a worldwide tournament.
Okay, I remember like that's where I was. When like this new tournament came out of nowhere.
Like it was, I thought that was really cool because this show, it seems like it's the world, right? And then it's like, oh no, all these tournaments, all this karate supremacy is just like
One
this
county.
one county. And then like this worldwide tournament shows up and like, I've never even heard of you people. Like, because you guys are just this karate situation in this one county. We're a worldwide organization. We don't give a shit who you are. You have to prove yourself to us. Like, yeah, all right, kind of giving a little bit more understanding of how insular this really is, even though that's what it's like, especially when you're a kid. You know, your area, that's your world. And I liked that. I liked that there was this fun worldwide tournament coming up.
And the timing makes sense too, because like the kids are, getting to be like graduating from high school, so that would be the time that they would become a little bit more aware of the outside world.
Yeah, exactly. It was a genius move, and it would be a really great cap to the series because they never settled on a name for their Miyagi Fang or whatever you want to call it. They never settled on a name for that. John Kreese broke out of jail.
Well, I do like where they were doing the flip back where like all of a sudden he's fighting 47 people in prison, but it's the younger John Kreese. Like, come on.
It was a little heavy-handed, but that's this show, so
Stop
like,
it.
all right, I'm good with it. Go ahead. Yeah. Have at it. I was watching that whole scene. I'm thinking like, man, this is really on the nose. But go ahead. You're having fun. You're having fun. Go ahead.
Probably
allow
because
it.
probably at least partly because that guy is too old to like do all that fighting himself.
Yeah, I don't think Martin Coe was taking down all those people. Not convincingly.
Which is fine. That's fine. Then let him use his words to like. They have his younger version fighting the people in the prison current day.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be
It's a metaphor.
It's a metaphor thing. It's fine. It's fine.
Metaphor.
He didn't literally morph into his younger self. You're supposed to be, as the viewer, he's channeling his younger self, who he really believes he is at his core. Because they did this whole psychological thing with him, of like getting this psyche eval, and I was like, oh man, are they going to try to do a redemption arc for Kris? I don't know how I feel about that. And they're like, fuck no. This dude is evil as shit. He's just got to remember exactly how evil he was at his prime. And like, I thought it was genius the way they broke him out of jail. I mean, fucking unrealistic. Of course, this show doesn't take place on Earth, and that's fine. It's super fine by me. I love the ridiculousness of it. I love that they brought what's his name, the kid that Terry Silver hired in Karate Kid 3 to torment Danny. I love that they brought him back.
The furniture salesman.
The furniture salesman guy, yeah. I love that they brought him back, and he was like a totally normal dude. He grew out of being a weird, wacky ass sociopath and just turned into a furniture salesman. It's like that's great. So they did all of it, right? They did Karate Kid 1, 2, and 3. The only thing they haven't even sniffed is next Karate Kid. Mm-hmm. And I've been saying get Hilary Swank on that show for ages. And if you're ever gonna do it, now's the time, right?
Final season.
I loved what they did with Chosen, bringing him in. Like, they just kind of made him. There was a point where Chosen, Johnny, and what's his face from Karate Kid 3 were all like teamed up. And it was like, man, this is all three of the villains from the old Karate Kid movies. The heel turned to good guys, and like. This is super fun. This is really fun to watch. I mean, it's completely ridiculous, but I thought it was a really brilliant chunk of television. Just like it was as good as the show's ever been, which is again way better than it has any right to be considering what it is. But it's got to end. I really thought this could have and should have been the final season, and I really, if they didn't, they could have tied up those loose ends this season. Absolutely, they didn't have to make this season what it was, as open ended as it was. Not that it's super open ended, but 5 would have been done. 5 would have been good. And 6, they pulled off 5, but like it was close, you know. Like it never even bordered on bad. Never even got near bad. But like
it's getting a little silly at times, though. Like it's getting. I mean, like we're watching it and enjoying it, and you're like, yeah, go ahead, you're having fun. But like there are some like kooky scenes in some of these episodes where I was like, I thought this show was trying to be better than that. Like when when he goes to the furniture store and he confronts it, like, oh, that's a great turn. Yes, he's the normal dude. I beat everybody up, and like, what? That just seemed less than the show has been doing previously. You know, and you turn the corner and Chosen has everybody outside. You got to, call the ambulance or some such stuff. You are absolutely right. It is stretching it thin. Like it's time to wrap this up. And seeing the next, right? That was what it was called, the next Karate Kid show.
Yeah, that was an awful movie. So. That was a really, really bad movie, and like I wouldn't be that heartbroken if they didn't touch on it, but I feel like at this point they kind of have to because they've gone and like Karate Kid 2 and 3 aren't good movies either, and they went and took those and turned them into this. Like,
okay, so
I can't say that I agree that this is more silly than it has been previously, but it is. I 100% agree that it is time for this to end before it gets bad, because it could very easily turn very south, and this show has an unreasonably good run so far. Like, it never should have gotten as far as it did. It never should have been as good as it's been, and like they're just kind of brushing up against they haven't reached bad yet, but they're brushing up against it, and they need to stop before they do. Finish on this next season and call it a day. You've got so much more win than you ever should have gotten out of this premise. End it.
It's called quit while you're ahead.
Yeah. Exactly.
There's and it's fun. Go ahead, Evan.
No, go ahead.
Well, when we finished watching that season, and you brought up the idea of bringing back Hilary Swank, I was like, yeah, what the hell she's been up to? Like, what has she got to do that's better than being on this? Like, the very next day, I saw a sponsored ad in my feed because technology is creepy, and she's gonna be on some, like, ABC drama that's premiering this season. I was like, oh, that's what she's doing. That's not better than this.
No, come on. We can work out the schedule there. She's the only other person that we know that trained with Mr. Miyagi. You have to assume that Julie and Daniel know each other to some extent. Mm-hmm. And if they're going to go to this worldwide tournament, I feel like they're going to need some help. And I thought they were going to need some help with Terry Silver, and it wound up being fucking Chosen, which I did not see coming a billion miles away. But that worked out. Shouldn't have worked as well as it did, but it did. But you've played that card now. If you're going to do one more season, you got to pull out something else ridiculous. Because, like, Karen came up with a good idea for how Kris could be a proper villain. 'Cause it's not like he's getting Cobra Kai back, but he could get himself involved in another dojo somewhere else in the world to get to be a part of this tournament. Mm-hmm. So, like, you could make this shit work. You could absolutely make this shit work. Just how... Just be careful, man. You're playing with my heart here. This show's way too good. Kill it while it's good.
So my favorite scene in season 5 is when Johnny and Chosen are walking somewhere, and Chosen's like, "Yeah, I saw him fight a tsunami. Well, I tried to kill," and they go back and forth about how good Danny is. Oh, that was adorable.
Yeah. This is talking about I love how Johnny looks at him like when Chosen's explaining the weird shit that went down in Karate Kid 2. Like, yeah, well, I tried to this YC. I was like, yes, well, he survived a typhoon and saved a little girl. I'm sorry, what? What the fuck happened?
That and I think it was the girlfriend from the third movie shows up as the cousin of his wife. Like, come on.
I loved that. What a fun little connection, but I did not recognize her until the flashback.
Oh, yeah. I didn't either.
Oh, that's who that's supposed to be. That's amazing. I think that's hilarious that's how you're working her in here, that she's his wife's cousin.
Yeah, it's cute.
That's funny because I liked her. She was pretty likable.
It was a fun episode.
Karate Kid 3.
That was a good episode.
Yeah.
Man,
it's kind of like they're doing a thing where, like, when they have a TV show where it's primarily it has a musical element to every episode, and eventually, like, you get a couple seasons in and they find reasons for even the people who have no reason to sing a song. Yes. I feel like that's what they're doing with the fighting, like, where even his wife ended up in a bar fight.
I'm sorry, when they were introducing themselves to the new tournament commissioners, and she's like, something LaRusso, karate
adjacent.
That's a great line.
Come on, it was adorable. All right,
and this year with the kids has been the kids have been fine too. I'm glad Miguel and what's his nuts sorted their shit out. And,
what's his nuts.
The Mexico trip was as short as I could have hoped for it to be. It was out in like an episode or two. I was like, all right, good. Didn't stretch that shit out. That's good. Miguel met his dad. He's a complete shit. And they didn't do anything else with it. They were like, okay, we told the story we needed to tell. We're not making him into a supervillain or drawing out any more stupid people doing stupid stuff. It just is what it is. And I was okay by that. Worked for me.
I feel like Danny's son is just like a useless character.
They keep trying to fit him in some way.
They really tried to do something with him this season. I liked him as a foil for that. I want to see shit work out for that other kid that
Kenny.
For Kenny, that Robbie was trying to do right by with Cobra Kai. I want to see something positive work out with him, because that's another good reason to have a final season, is to see something good come out of that kid, because that was his whole arc was just heartbreaking.
Right.
Like, and just a perfect example of how Johnny became who he was in the original Karate Kid movie. Like, just how easy it is to warp young people. That shit was powerful to watch, and it was heartbreaking to watch. And I love that that's what kind of turned Robbie to realize that the shit's more important than
karate.
Than just karate. It's like
nothing is more important than karate. You shut your pie hole.
That's true. I love Cobra Kai. I'm glad it's a show. I want it to end on a high note. I want it to finish and be done while it's still great, because holy shit, that show is way better than it should be.
Well, good. I'm glad you guys are all enjoying it so much. It's fun to listen to you kind of chat about it. I was very quiet because I haven't really watched much, and my only contribution to the show has been when there was a scene in Mexico where there was a fight with a surfboard, and I had to yell to Evan because he had exited the room for a second that he was missing important plot points.
It's true. She did.
So, all right. Well, to wrap up the first half, then I will just share. The only thing I really still want to talk about is Motherland Fort Salem, because I've been working. Oh God, this month I haven't had a day off since the first weekend in September. So I haven't really had a lot of time to watch things either. And it's just been back and forth between either Walking Dead and Motherland Fort Salem. But I'm almost done with Motherland Fort Salem, and I love this show, you guys. There are some serious CW moments on this show, like oof. But I'm just not mad about it, and like I think the thing about the show that I love the most is just the lore, the special effects, the way that they created a whole language. It's funny because one of the things that I really loved when you guys were talking about Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, like one of the things that I find fascinating about the show is that they actually had the same person who created some of the language used in Game of Thrones made a language for this show.
Neat.
Yeah, and I thought that was it's so cool. I just love so many aspects of this show because it feels like they planned it. Like it's 3 seasons. That's it. It's wrapped up in 30 episodes.
Oh, it's over?
Yeah,
Okay.
it aired.
Or it will be.
Yeah, it concluded in August, so it's done. But I think one of the things I love is like the casting. For example, they just they have a really diverse cast of people, and it like one of the main actresses. So there's the way that the show is structured. I don't know if I've really talked about the plot, but basically, when the Salem witch trials were happening, there was an actual witch. She came out as a witch and used her song, and that's how witches share their power. So everything is based on their vocal cords, and I'd say like 90% of it is because Evan and I talked about like one of the dumb things that happened on the show that didn't really have anything to do with that, but that's besides the point. But it's things like they have this like sound where they have to match certain pitches and tones, and then their hearing is very adapted for that, which makes me it's just reminiscent of like speaking Mandarin or Cantonese, where you have to be so in tune with pitch in order to clearly speak those languages. And it's just fascinating because like they talk about like song connecting everybody, and then they have like their science that they've built around it, and this whole world, it's a modern day world where the women really are the ones with the power in many situations, among witches at least, but they're sort of segregated from the rest of society. And then when they're interacting, you watch how these women go from being revered in the very first episode, where you see these girls being conscripted, to being completely shunned in the 3rd season. And it's all based on political distortion and propaganda and lies, and then building fear among a community. And there are definitely parallels drawn between things like what happened with Judaism and the Holocaust. The 3rd season right now, witches are being made to wear certain like collars that like block their vocal cords, but also clearly declare to everyone that they are witches. They have a curfew. Their rights are being taken away. People are allowed to just storm into their homes. Like, there's just a lot of things where you see like there was persecution of witches, but now there's going to be persecution of witches in the modern day. And it's I don't know, I think it's interesting. And I think the way that they have these relationships formed between the characters, there are definitely times where I've watched a show and been like, okay, some of this feels rushed or forced, but overall I get what they're going for. I understand what they're trying to build here. And it's a whole lot of world. It's a whole lot of really fun and interesting uses of magic and what they do, and how their the enemies in the show end up, you find out that there's this old enemy that has come back that can mimic the witch's power by mimicking the pitches and tones of their vocal cords. And then at some point they actually start harvesting the vocal cords. And it's like really, it's intense. And the show's definitely like, it's a supernatural drama, for sure. But I just think like, I don't know, it's really cool how they've done some of the special effects. They have this thing called the mycelium, which is, it's basically like this mushroom that connects to everything in the world, but it's what the witches draw their power from, or mycelium, that's what it is. And like one of the witches ends up like inside of it, and you get to see how that functions. But there's an effect where like somebody is transported into it and out of it, and like it's beautiful. Like it's so gorgeous. And I think it's just fun to kind of see something where I feel like it's sort of drawing parallels between things I'm feeling about political divides in our country currently. But it's so far outside the realm of what we experience that I can still get lost a little. There's still some escapism in it. And I don't know, like I said, the cast is really diverse. There's good representation. One of the main characters is gay, and then there's another character who at first I thought was non-binary, but it turns out that the character is trans, and the way that they approached it just happened in one of the recent episodes. They talked about how they didn't know where they fit because there are male witches in this world. They're not nearly as common, and they're almost like second class to the female witches. But their training is very different. And this person didn't know where they fit. They didn't know which school they were supposed to go into. They didn't know what their training was going to look like or what their future was supposed to be and how they had to navigate that space. And I just thought that it was kind of interesting because they approached it in a way that felt respectful, but also insightful to how other people would feel, in actual reality and dealing with navigating social spaces. And I just thought that was a really nice way to do that, and a very human moment that they put in the show. And it didn't feel like it was something that was forced. It felt like something that was just like, hey, yeah, this would be a conversation that would happen among two people that are spending time in this space together, and they've all had to navigate their own identities and their experiences and what the world looks like for them. And this is what this person's experience was. And like I said, the cast, like from around the world, there's literally one of the main characters is South African. The other one is from British Columbia, Canada, for anyone who doesn't know that. Sorry. And then there's another one who's from Belgium, and then another character who's like from Texas. But I liked seeing, like, you can sort of, every now and then you can sort of hear an accent start to come through, and I'll always be like, oh, where's this person from? But like, there's still things that the show addresses, like Native American people having their land taken, and the desperation that's created for people who feel like they are being in situations where they are helpless or less than, and the deals that they have to make. And I don't know, I just love the different types of magic and skill sets, and I'm never not going to be a sucker for magic, but this show has great. The witchy vibes in this show are absolutely great.
I'm really glad I grabbed this just on a whim for you. Like.
It was so random, but honestly, like, I genuinely love this show, and it's on Freeform. So anyone who has Disney, I don't know if you have to pay for that separately from like Disney Channel's stuff. I don't really know how that streaming system works. But yeah, like, it's just, I don't know. This show is so cool. Like, I'm not going to say it's the most well-written show or even like the best acted show, but I think that it's a really wonderfully unique premise. If there is anything else out there like it, yeah, there's always going to be some things. I want to caveat that with, I know there's always going to be some things that sort of have parallels, and nothing is completely original, but I haven't really seen anything else like this, and I think it's super cool. So that's it. Like, I love this ancient witch language. I love their weird powers. I love where the story is going, and I just hope it continues to be as pleasing and fun and interesting as it has been, because I only have like 3 episodes left.
Yeah, three and a third left. So
yeah,
should be all right. Takes a
Here's
horrible
that
turn.
this show is on Hulu if you are looking forward on legit stuff.
Thank you.
Cool.
Didn't see that. I was trying to figure out where people could watch it, so I appreciate that. Because for me, what I just saw was like it's on Freeform, and then I guess like, I don't know, it says you can watch it on YouTube with a premium subscription, but like, why would you?
Who has premium YouTube? I mean, really?
Dumb. Anyway, so that's it. I will finally be done talking about this the next time we do this, because I won't have any more.
Else now.
Yeah, I don't even know what the hell I'm supposed to watch. Man, there's just so many cool things about this show. They really are. And I just feel like there is a part, like, I'm just going to put this out there. I don't always want to get into, like, the whole, like, women and rage and controversy and blah, but, like, I think very much so that there is an inner part of this, of me that, like, loves the celebration that I feel that there is of women in the show and the issues that are addressed for women in the show, as well as the fact that I think that, like, one of the things that they do is they wield their power, and they have to yell sometimes, and the way that they have to yell and the way that it talks about, like, putting their energy and their emotion into it. And I think every now and then every one of us wishes we could yell and it would, like, put out a blast that would, like, knock someone through a wall. You know, I don't know why I would feel that way, but every now and then I think about it. So that's it for the first half, guys. We're going to take a break. Stick with us. We've got some good commercials coming up for you. And if you don't like them, listen to them anyway, because you love us. And we'll be back.
And now, here's a quick look at some of the other original content available now from our partners and Geekade.com.
Hi everyone, Kris here. Podcast listening is free, but podcast creation is not. That's why the Geekade Patreon exists. In an effort to help us pay the bills, we've got a Patreon page set up where you can gain access to our monthly podcast topic schedule, get early access to many of our shows, and more. If you'd like to help support Geekade and keep these shows running week after week, head over to the Geekade Patreon page, linked in the show notes of this very podcast.
First up, Geekade's got a new podcast. After years of Kris talking about how much he loves video game music, he's decided to take the terrifying plunge into the world of talking about how much he loves non-video game music. He's often been under the impression that he has less than great taste in music, but darn it, he loves this stuff and he wants other people to hear why. But it's not just Kris. So his Waveback co-host Matt is also with him on this journey, and he's also sharing the music he loves. So it's going to be a show about discovery, and hopefully at the very least, interesting music, or non-interesting music that you can hate. If that sounds like fun, be sure to check out our very first episode, which was Kris's pick. Be kind and give it a listen to Turning Tracks, Episode 1, Fountains of Wayne. Fountains of Wayne? Yeah. Okay. Cool. I'm actually excited about this.
I thought first I was curious that one bit you said sounded loaded about music that you can hate. I was like, oh no, does she hate Fountains of Wayne?
I hadn't read this yet because I like to be surprised as I read these, which is really, professional.
Professional at its finest, yeah.
Yes, but no, I'm curious to see what your thoughts are.
Well, Kris likes Fountains of Wayne. It's his pick.
Yeah, well, I
want to hear
understand
what Matt has to say about it. I want to hear Matt just tear it a new... Next, this week's Stone Age Gamer podcast was a long one. Not only did Dan and Kris go in depth of what they've been playing, they also covered the recent Nintendo Direct and PlayStation State of Play presentations. In addition to their feature topic, the September 10, 20, 30, 40, where they discussed the games that came out 10, 20, 30, and 40 years ago this month. Dan also had to fill about 12 and a half minutes of dead air because Kris's stomach decided to wage war against him during the latter part of the show. How did Dan fill that time? Did Kris survive his trip to the bathroom? Find out in the Stone Age Gamer podcast, episode 430, Full of Chemicals.
Spoiler alert, Kris is here, so...
Best line Kris ever said was, "The battle is over, but the war is far from done." And he was talking
the
about...
The battle was won, but the war is far from over.
He was talking about taking a shit. It was amazing.
I was so sad that when you mentioned that you laughed at that, Dan didn't remember what we were talking about, because Dan laughed his ass off.
Oh my God. Listening to Dan try to fill it was uncomfortable, but I left it all in
I
there.
can't wait to listen to it.
Wait, you left it all in there?
Yeah, Dan did not shut up. He kept talking for 12 minutes.
That doesn't mean people want to know.
You do it. I leave it in there. It was
All right. So if anyone who
Finally.
listens to SAG listens to this, tell me if you made it. Go ahead, Karen.
God, sorry.
Finally, it's Alcatel. Oh, fucking hell.
Nailed it.
Leaving that in there too.
As well you should.
Oh boy, waffles. Ah, I fucked up.
Excuse me?
Finally, it's acapella time, bitches. Or should I say, Aka bitches. Sean, Paul, and Kris reached the letter P this month, and they landed on the comedy classic Pitch Perfect as their choice. It also happens to be that movie's anniversary, and there just so happened to be a showing of it at their local theater, which meant they all saw this one together, and I was there too!
Aww.
But how did they feel about this movie involving Anna Kendrick forgoing her DJ aspirations to get involved in the cult-like, cutthroat, and surprisingly barf-filled world of competitive a cappella? Find out in a theater near you, episode 19, Pitch Perfect.
You better have loved it or I'm subscribing.
I have a question. What's for Q next month?
Oh, I wrote it down.
Quickly down under. Okay, sorry.
It was Paul's pick again, and it was actually the easiest way for me to do that would be just look at the text message chain, because that's where we vote.
Vote? There's a voting process?
You haven't listened to the show.
No.
So we all say what our picks are, and then we all vote. The three of
Very
us
democratic.
vote on what it's going to be.
I thought you were doing it like we do, where you cycle through. Interesting.
No, we all three of us come up with the next options for the next episode, and it's looks like it's quick change.
Okay.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Bill Murray, Gina Davis, something about a clown.
Yep.
I've never seen it. I've never even heard of it, so I'm excited.
Side note, not to be in the podcast, but Owen just threw up all over the floor behind you, hun, so...
For all this and more from us and our partners, be sure to keep your eyes on geekade.com.
Leaving it in.
Okay. And we're back. Hello, welcome. Happy returneth. How much did you love those commercials? Did you take your bathroom break? Did you win the war? Anyway, we are here to talk about the 100, which is another type of war of sorts. It's a war between space, radiation, humans, and more humans. Then death.
Two-headed deer.
Two-headed deer.
It was really two faces. There wasn't
It was
a
like
second
more like
head.
1.5-headed deer.
So, yeah, all right, guys. I'm going to give a quick description, as I always like to do. So the 100 is a dystopian space show, but it doesn't really happen in space. It largely happens when people return to the Earth. The more well-written premise is when nuclear Armageddon destroys civilization on Earth, the only survivors are those on the 12 international space stations in orbit at the time. 3 generations later, the 4,000 survivors living on the space ark of Link Station see their resources dwindle and face draconian measures established to ensure humanity's future. Desperately looking for a solution, the ark's leaders send 100 juvenile prisoners back to the planet to test its habitability. Having always lived in space, the exiles find the planet fascinating and terrifying, but with the fate of the human race in their hands, they must forge a path into the unknown. Or try to say, fuck everyone in space, we hope they die. No, that wasn't in the description. But
should have been.
yeah, so basically, a bunch of kids who are imprisoned for anything from existing to doing dumb shit like trying to grow weed and steal it and smoke it, they're all imprisoned and they're all sentenced to die. But instead of death, they are granted the opportunity to maybe die if the Earth is still uninhabitable.
Don't. It's not like they say. It's not like cake or death. No, it's not. They don't have the option. They're
that's
thrown
true.
into the ship, and
That's
the ship
true.
is ejected.
Yeah, they're literally thrown into a ship that's like also 100-year-old tech, and they're like, "All right, peace out, bitches. Good luck. We put some bracelets on you, so if you die, we'll know." Ish. Yeah. So, like, the kids get down to Earth and do the things that unsupervised children would do, teenagers would do, who also are apparently juvenile delinquents. They party.
And idiots.
Wait, what now?
And idiots.
And idiots, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They party, they make great choices, they seek attention where it's unnecessary, and then they decide that because one of them feels that he and his sister are at risk, he should convince everyone in space that they're dead and that it's not safe to come down. And meanwhile, in space, other things happen, like an attempted coup, maybe, someone else almost dies because she saves someone who gets shot. I don't know, political space drama. Space politics. They're great.
Yes.
And then we follow these weird children who are on Earth doing weird things as a small group of them who actually has their wits about them decides to go look for supplies that were supposedly dropped nearby, but apparently they're on the wrong mountain.
Dun dun dun.
So now, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So now these five would be heroes are trekking through the woods to get the supplies. But wait, let's do some gratuitous teenage ass shots while we go swim in the water, and then someone nearly gets eaten by a snake. But don't forget, that's not where the story ends, folks, because after this, they're going to survive this weird water snake thing. Everything's going to be great because everyone will have their pants on again. They're going to swing across a gorge that's apparently there now because they're scared to go near the water or whatever. One of them does it. Woo! Tarzan moment. Let's celebrate. Boom, spear to the chest.
That is by far
The others show up, and they've been on the Lost Island this whole time. And where the hell did they get that vine from?
Right?
If the vine's at the halfway point between the gorge and between
not.
where they are
Chris.
and where they want to be, how did they reach it in the first place to use it to swing across?
Spider-Man physics.
Sure. Boo.
There you go.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I watched the entirety of the show going, man, this is so CW.
Oh, yeah.
So CW is almost WB. Like, that's how CW this show was. Okay?
The W wrapped around pretty
Like,
hard.
It went all the way.
For anyone who doesn't know, this is a CW show.
Oh,
so
shit, yeah. Heavy duty.
if you couldn't tell, you haven't watched enough CW. If you could tell, you still haven't watched enough CW. You should watch more of this.
The lengths in which they force relationships and okay.
Oh, what's
all
the
of
matter,
it,
princess?
All of it was
It's not
fine.
cute to you?
Ugh.
It was fine.
That guy called her princess one more time, and then they tried to make it sound endearing. I was like,
Yeah. Boo.
how dare you?
All of it was worth it because as soon as he swung across, I looked at my loving wife and I says, if that motherfucker doesn't get eaten by a motherfucking shark jumping out as he swings, I'm done with this show. And he made it to the other side. I'm like, I'm done. Oh, no, I'm not. Because that's a spear in his chest.
The art with that one. Yeah, like I thought the same thing. It was like, yeah, no, he's gonna get eaten by something because this is going way too well. They're all celebrating like crazy, like yes,
We are happy.
It's happy, joyous times. Like, all right,
Well-
asteroid's gonna hit him in the head, or a giant bear is gonna come out and eat. Oh, spear of the chest. Didn't see that coming.
Guys, you really forgot one thing. They've been living on a space station for 100 years and everyone on Earth is dead. These kids have not seen TV before.
That's a good point.
It's a solid
I
point.
tell you, the first thing that I wrote down, besides "Hey, it's April O'Neil," because of course that's what I recognize her from, and it took me a while to realize that the evil dude was Desmond from Lost, because I fucking love Desmond, and he's so hateable here, and he doesn't have his adorable accent, so fuck that. But
I'm going to ask you now, do you guys want me to give you future things about the show and spoil it give all the spoilers?
I'm not going to watch any more of it, so
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
spoil away.
Hold on.
Okay.
Before you do that, go, Chris.
Yeah.
The thing I wanted to say was they've all got really nice hair and makake given their circumstances.
I was good, down to the eyebrow grooming.
Like, they are well groomed. Really well groomed.
You saw the guy that got shot, or like he was bleeding profuse, like his intestines was out. That man came up holding his belly. He's like, no, I'm in charge again. Everything is fine. What the fuck is going on this ship?
They are very into being as attractive as possible. Like, they've been living on a spaceship with barely enough life support, and like these people are just CW trimmed to perfection.
They
like,
may not have enough life support, but they definitely have enough shampoo.
They are swimming in Revlon. You can't eat it, but it sure makes you look nice.
You guys want to live a little longer? Maybe you should use some of that water for, like, I don't know, drinking?
Yeah. All right. So yeah, go ahead and spoil away. What's up with the others? Like,
All right,
where'd
so
they come from?
I do want to show you guys one thing because I just think it's kind of hilarious.
God.
This is, hold on, I have two. I actually have two. Okay, so you see what Octavia is like now. She's kind of fucking terrible.
Who was Octavia?
Octavia was the one who's like, I existed. Meh. She's the one who got bit by the snake.
The gratuitous butt shot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That was just
Like,
wow. They really just. Oh,
Like, they
this
didn't
is
even-
why she was hired. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, they're gonna kill her off right after that. Oh, okay, so she's fine. So she's been dragged underwater by a weird mutant snake for like 5 minutes, but she's just got some ketchup on her leg.
what is it?
This is Octavia's future in like 4 seasons.
She got braids.
She literally becomes the leader of a fucking warrior tribe and becomes one of the most boss characters on the entire show.
That second picture's not her.
So
What the hell? This is such a...
it's
Definitely
just,
CW, though. You see, that's all sorts of CW.
yeah.
You can
Oh,
just change the colors slightly, and it's the fucking arrow. It's the Arrowverse right there in that second picture.
Yeah, like it's ridiculous how much the characters change, and it's funny because you're talking about like what they do with like the hair and the makeup, and I want to share with you like one of their attempts to try and make the hair look more realistic on the show. And
I mean,
look
just
greasy.
even in that first picture you sent, look at how well trimmed her eyebrows are.
Yep.
She's got a couple of smudges like laying around, but she's got the eye makeup flawless.
Yeah.
The eyebrows are perfectly plucked.
They're on fleek. Yeah, so this is this part of the show, in my opinion, never really goes away. But the way that this show evolves, so that like pretty much you find out in the next couple episodes, obviously, that there are other people that are living on Earth, and there is like a tribe of people that have survived the radiation poisoning somehow.
And they all have 2 faces.
And no. Damn. And then you, like, as the show progresses, you find, like, different tribes of people who have different ways of existing. One of whom is, like, this group of people who never dealt with the radiation and survived in, like, a bunker of some kind. And then they send people out in, like, these fucking, like, you know, like the radioactive suits for, like, those hazmat style, whatever. And they like live inside this mountain, and then at some point like Clark and Bellamy end up being 2 of the main leaders in the show, but at some point like Clark has to make a choice, and she fucking like kills everybody in the mountain. Like
Clark is the blonde.
Yeah.
Okay. Princess.
Yeah, like a lot of these characters, the choices that they make, the things that they deal with, the evolution of like where these stories go, it's just nuts. And it gets to the point where like the people that are in space, like they do start coming down from space, but there are other things that happen as well. And like it's just crazy because this goes from this like, oh man, we have this sophisticated space technology and we really need to figure everything out, to like warrior tribes. Like a large part of this just ends up being fucking warrior tribes. And then it's like figuring out which warrior tribe is going to murder the other warrior tribe, or one tribe will rule them all. And then like then it gets into this fucking crazy AI that starts taking over people's heads. And like I can't even tell you. It goes so many different places and so many different directions. So one of the tribes, they have this person that they worship as like their leader and their goddess, and it turns out it's always a person who they have this AI chip that they don't understand how the technology works, but it's a fucking AI chip that they put into a person so that every time a new person gets it, they're like retaining the identity of everyone who had the chip before them. Mm-hmm. But then it goes into this whole thing with like, what if someone else took over the AI and started to figure out how to give chips to other people, and then that AI started to take over everybody who was using those chips. Like, this show goes so many fucking crazy weird directions. It is nuts. It is absolutely fucking bonkers. And I never actually got to the end of the show. They eventually get to the point where all of the space tribe people end up doing whatever the fuck they're going to do. Desmond ends up actually being he was a stupid character who becomes a more complex character who actually becomes a good character in the show. And as far as I know, he sticks around for quite a long while. And then eventually they get off the planet again and they have to leave Earth. I can't remember why. I think they basically fucked it up and they caused like a nuclear explosion and like the whole Earth was going to be all fucked up again. So they end up running away on a spaceship, and then like 100 years later they found a new planet, and that's where the end of the 4th season was, I think. And season 5, I have absolutely no idea what happens. Like, I have no idea how the show ended, but it ended in 2020. Yeah.
Here's a big issue that I have. The
Hold on,
I like
I'm buckling up.
I have a lot of big issues, but no, I like the premise of this show. I hate the execution, but I was genuinely interested in the premise of this show. Mm-hmm. One of my biggest gripes is like, all right, so Lost has a lot of stupid shit going on in it too, right? Mm-hmm. I loved Lost because, you know, when you're on the island and then like, oh, they're not alone, like that was interesting. That was kind of scary. It was just kind of wild. But like, you kind of went in, they didn't explicitly tell you they're the only people on this island. This show explicitly said everyone on Earth is dead except for the people who survived up here. Mm-hmm. And then in the first fucking episode, it betrays that by saying, never mind, people were alive this whole time. Mm-hmm. Like, that's not a twist. You just fucking lied to me.
Yeah.
That's what that is. That's shitty writing right there.
Yeah.
Like, all they had to do was say, like, nobody knows what happened on Earth or something like that. They should never have explicitly said everyone on Earth is dead, because that's a fucking lie.
Yeah.
And you just undercut your own premise in the first episode. It's fucking stupid. How dare you, show?
Well, for me, it was just the fact that it showed how little they knew about what the fuck was going on. Also, it turns out, I'm looking this up on Wikipedia because I was just curious. I was like, oh, it ended like, was it season 4 or season 5 that I was watching? How many seasons were there? Well, don't worry. It turns out there were 7 seasons, and apparently the 7th season somehow, it looks, supposedly they shut down filming in 2020 because of the pandemic, and I don't know that the show ever actually had a conclusion. But one of the things it says is, like, when you look at critical responses, a lot of things that people were writing was that, like, it takes time for the series to warm up. The thing that I felt was an issue is that if you see how they structured this first episode, I'm not sure where I would drop you into this show that you could understand what the fuck was happening and then still be engaged enough to want to keep watching.
It's kind of like Dollhouse in that way. Like,
so, yeah.
Remember how different Dollhouse was by the time it ended than when it started?
Yes, apocalyptic future.
Yeah, that was wacky. Not bad, but like, whew, that was weird. I wanted to mention that they really wanted to use that Radioactive song.
Right?
The music cues in this episode were pretty special, but like, I really did not like that song, and they really liked that song.
Yeah.
Like, yes,
Well,
this
well,
is
for the
what the
rights.
kids like.
I mean, it was at the
It
time that
was indeed.
this show started. I'm estimating.
Yep.
Like, that was the height of fucking Imagination Dragons, or whatever the hell that
Imagine
band is
Dragons.
Imagine
Yeah.
Dragons.
Sorry. I'm
Imagination
tired and I have
Dragons.
small children. I don't know.
The only other thing that I wrote down was the "whatever the hell we want" was a Simpsons level angry mob chant. Like, that was fucking bad.
Yeah.
Like, it's been so long since anyone watched The Simpsons that they didn't even know that that's what they were doing.
And the thing is, like,
This is
there's
something that would be a joke in a comedy show, and you're trying to get me to take this bunch of goobers yelling "whatever the hell we want." Seriously? Are you?
And the thing is, like, this first episode, like, there's just so many things that change over time. Like so many of the characters, like Bellamy and Clark, the way that their characters evolve, the amount that they suffer, the things that they deal with. Other characters, like, you know, the guy that was like, fuck you, like, and he carves, like, the sun is gonna die, but then he, like, spells die wrong because he's a fucking idiot. He
What
ends
a
up
dick.
actually being one of the most interesting characters on the show seasons later. And it's like,
And I'm not okay with that. Fuck you for doing that, show.
yeah, like, and that's the thing is, like, there's and like, oh, and then this is the other thing. So, like, Clark in the show, I think she's bi, or like, I think she's bisexual, maybe pansexual, I'm not sure. But she starts off with having, like, a male partner in the show. And then, like, Karen, you had mentioned, like, the bury your gays trope. There was a point at which the show did have something that seemed to have that, because Clark ends up with a woman at some point on the show, and literally the first time I think it's, like, the first time that they're intimate, the character dies, like, almost immediately after that. And like...
She
Viewers
died
were
from the
like-
gay, right? That's what
yeah,
happens.
the gay killed her.
The
Yes.
gay killed her.
So it's literally like, oh, look, she switched sides, guys, and don't worry about it, she's dead. And to me, it kind of, I remember when I was watching, it's been a few years now, but I do remember when I was watching, I kind of felt like the transition for her character was a bit forced. I wasn't sure of the reason why they were doing that in the show. But I do know that, like, it also struck me as weird the way that they killed off the character. And so, like, that's something that, you know, the show has made some weird choices. But overall, like, this show goes into such a different direction. Like, I can't even... Where they started is so far from where I don't want to say where it ends, because I haven't seen the end, but from where it ends up. Yeah.
You know whose character doesn't grow in any way, shape, or form? Kelly Hugh. You know, the
best friend of the doctor.
It's the best friend,
Yeah.
but she was somehow related in relations with the guy who's trying to take over. Like, she's like, you know, change your mind. She's my best friend. Like, that sets up for that. That's it. She's never on the show again. That was it. Doesn't show up anymore.
That's awesome.
The best friend is now gone.
I thought she had more of a role.
Nope, that was one of the. It's like,
Okay.
as you scroll down in, like, the IMDb, this may be a spoiler. She never shows up again. Interesting. Oh wait, hold on. Is this a J.J. Abrams? Okay, no.
No, I was very confused.
There's a quote. All right, so it says there were so many damn lens flares that it got quite distracting. I had to check that it wasn't a J.J. Abrams joint.
Oh, okay.
There were an excessive amount of lens flares.
Yes.
Like, the person did not know, don't point the camera at the sun. You don't do that. Stop it.
One thing I did like, that's kind of a fun fact for anyone who does ever watch the show, the characters Clark and Bellamy in real life are married.
Which one was Bellamy?
He is the one who was like, we do whatever the hell we want.
Okay.
So I thought that was
who is
interesting.
The kid that get the spear in his chest?
That's Jasper.
Okay, so Jasper.
Yeah.
As I was watching this, I am a big fan of the Friday the 13th, all of those movies, and by far one of my favorites is Jason X. It's Jason's face. Okay.
You don't say, honey.
I do, and I love that movie. There is a character on that movie. In that movie.
Sleeping bag kill.
There's a character in that movie in which Jason. So Jason is frozen at one point in time, and he actually cuts off this character's arm because he falls out of the cryo chamber and cuts this young gentleman's arm off. That kid reminded me so much of Jasper. As soon as I saw him on screen, I'm like, this kid's gonna die. I want this kid to die. It has to die. And I've never felt more satisfaction than in ever seeing a character get a spear in the chest. I didn't even need to know where it came from, why it was there. As long as it was there, it made this 41 minutes of watching this show worth it for me.
Of course it did. Oh, I do also want to point out that he didn't show up yet, but Ricky Whittle, the guy that was in American Gods.
Okay.
He was in this show, and that's how I found out about him. So he's great. He was in 2 seasons of the show.
I have a question, Angie.
Yeah.
Do you like this show?
Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't tell.
Because the thing is, like, I know it's a CW show, so I don't rate it highly. I'm sorry, I just don't. Like, because I know what the CW does to television shows. Like, how many times have I talked about loving Supernatural and thinking it's one of my favorite shows of all time, and still had to yell at the television screen while watching it because they did something stupid in the writing. Like, it's so unfortunate because I haven't watched the pilot of this show in a long time. But like I said, I wouldn't even know where to drop you in this to introduce you in a way that maybe you would actually want to come back. Because the pilot was way worse than I thought.
I mean, I understand that. I mean, because I have the same thing, the affinity, I guess you would call it, for sci-fi movies and television shows. I don't know why. I will sit and watch them. I think it's just having the ability to shut the brain off and not hold it to the standard of, other networks. Just
something doesn't have to be good for it to be loved. I mean, I fucking love the Street Fighter movie with Raul Julia. It's terrible, but I love it.
To me, it was a Tuesday.
God, Raul Julia was a national treasure.
But yeah, so I just appreciate you guys giving it the time. I wish that I could have, like I said, picked a better episode, or one at least that would be further along in the seasons that would have more interest. The characters,
I don't know, man. I get it. I understand. If I had caught this when it was brand new, maybe I would have stuck with it. Like, who knows? Back when this was on and I had more time to watch more television or whatever. Just I get it. Like I said, the premise is solid here, and it's got Desmond and April O'Neil in it, so that would have been enough.
Which one was April O'Neil?
What's that?
Which one is April O'Neil?
Yeah,
the doctor lady who did the surgery that she wasn't supposed to do. She was April O'Neil in Turtles 2 and 3.
Oh shit! Wow, I did not get that. Okay.
It's the news lady. That was a quote from Turtles 1, who was a different April O'Neil.
Yeah, and when you said that, I'm like, that's who I immediately thought of, is that one.
The rat is the cleanest one.
Got it. All right.
But yeah, well, thanks guys. I appreciate you watching it. That's it. That's our show for tonight. So, Evan, what's the homework?
Oh, well, I was going to talk about it earlier today, but I decided to pull an audible. We're gonna watch the new Quantum Leap series. We're gonna watch season 1, episode 1. I am a big fan of the original, and the new version. I don't even want to say new version of it. It's the new series just started last week, so we have 2 episodes available now. So I want us to watch season 1, episode 1 of Quantum Leap 2022.
Cool.
Hold on to your
butts. I was kind of stoked to hear you talk about that, and then you pulled an audible, and I cried inside. But now I get to watch it, so everything's okay.
And now you can laugh inside.
Yay.
Just keep it inside.
All right. There you go. That's it. Kris has to do his spiel, honey.
Yeah, so I guess I should ask you for the spiel.
Yeah, whatever makes you happy.
Chris,
However you want to toss the ball.
Would you like to do the spiel?
I would love to. This week's episode is not filmed before a live studio audience, but it is fueled by feedback from listeners like you. And you can get in touch with us in a multitude of ways. We have an official Geekade Discord where there's an entire This Week's Episode channel dedicated to all things TV talk. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram through the official Geekade channels or the more specific Twepcast accounts. And of course, the four of us can be found in various ways. I'm available on Twitter at Geekade Kris. That's Geekade Kris, and you can read my work at StoneAgeGamer.com and in the pages of Nintendo Force magazine. Karen, where can people find you?
They can find me at STM Stitches on all the socials and on Etsy.
Angie, where can people find you?
You can find me at my website, www.angelafernot.com.
And Evan, where can people find you?
Head on over to talesofcapefear.com. We're doing a lot of work there. It'll get you over to all the socials in which we will be participating in, because we just started book 4. Oh my god.
I'm so excited. It's the most submissions we've ever had.
Yay.
If you need to know more about the shows we discussed tonight or what we'll be watching in the future, have a look at our show notes. And if you have any other questions at all, we can always be reached at mail@geekade.com. Just include the words "this week's episode" in the subject line so we know who you're trying to reach. This show is available anywhere fine podcasts are sold, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, and more. And wherever you decide to listen, please comment, like, subscribe, leave reviews, because any and all feedback is welcome and appreciated. And if you'd like to get early access to this show, as well as several other shows from the Geekade Podcast Network, check out the Geekade Patreon, which is linked to in our show notes. Again, as always, keep your eyes on Geekade for more fresh original content.
Thank you.
Back to you, Angie.
Appreciate you, Chris. All right, guys, so that's it. Do the homework, watch this new Quantum Leap, and, come back next time. And if you have ideas for us to watch stuff, please always remember you can suggest them. You can suggest them in the Discord, you can suggest them on Patreon if you're following us, or you can just email us. Or reach out to one of us individually on our social media accounts. But that's going to be it. So, from all of us here at this week's episode, I'm Angie.
I'm Evan.
I'm Karen.
I'm radioactive!
Good night.
And this concludes our broadcast day.